Between Knulli and muOS, the Anbernic RG35XXSP gets such a massive upgrade, ranging from Hinge support, increased emulation performance, better HDMI out, browser access, themes, and a ton more. It's time we finally talk about Knulli on the Anbernic SP. You guys have been asking for it. It straight up won the poll that I posted a couple of weeks ago, and I'd actually planned to do a dedicated video about Knulli on the SP this week, but at the start of this week I got a ping on the muOS Discord. muOS Discord? muOS? muOS?
I just don't get why you're saying it that way.
Why I'm saying what way?
Forget it.
I will forget it.
But the muOS Discord had announced that the first SP-specific build of muOS has been announced this week, so that means it's got Hinge support. And given that Hinge support was one of the biggest cons I saw you guys had noted in my previous muOS deep dive video, and given all the hype I've been hearing about Knulli, I think it's time we pit these two head to head. But you know what doesn't need to fight to be good is this video sponsor, Keysfan. Keysfan offers cheap and legal OEM software keys, which is 100% official and enjoys online activation, has 24/7 customer service, and lifetime after-sales support. When you choose OEM products, you're ensuring authenticity and legitimacy. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, meaning these products are made by the same company that produced your device. Say goodbye to worries about counterfeit goods. OEM products are the real deal, designed to seamlessly integrate and enhance your user experience. Their products range from Windows licenses like Windows 10 and 11 Pro to Microsoft Office, both for Windows and Mac, as well as helpful tools like antivirus softwares and audio mixers. Check out the links in the description to redeem your coupon code today. So first, let's cover how to actually install Knulli, because we actually haven't had a chance to talk about it on this channel yet. Their documentation is pretty clear, so it's mostly a matter of going to the install page on their website, following the link to the releases page on GitHub, and grabbing the correct flavor of Knulli for your device. In our case, it's the same file for the RG35XX Plus, H, 2024, and SP, so we'll just grab that file. Once you have that image file downloaded, you'll flash to your microSD card of choice using a tool like Blena Etcher, and eject the card when that completes. Finally, we'll pop that card into the TF1 slot of our SP, boot it up, and let it run its initial installation process. After a bit, you'll eventually see the lovely Emulation Station front end. A really nice treat worth mentioning is that the Knulli devs went the extra mile and actually preloaded the image with a few open source games that you can jump into right away, like the SNES Donkey Kong adaptation Classic Kong. But to load our own games onto it, we'll need to press the Start button to open the main menu, head over to the Network Settings, enable Wi-Fi, click on the SSID line so it can scan for available networks, select your network of choice, punch in the Wi-Fi password, and hit B to save our settings and connect to our network. After that, you should be able to connect to your device named Knulli on your network. If you're on Windows, you'll do 2 backslashes and then Knulli. If you're on Mac, you'll have to use the Go to Server option, and that's covered in a bit more detail on Knulli's website. But once you found your SP on your network, you'll be able to access its share partition and then copy ROMs into their respective folders. Now, this will be the primary way that most users will copy and access files on Knulli, and we'll cover why that is a little bit later, which brings us to the pros and cons of Knulli. I'll rapid fire these a bit so we can get into the head-to-head with Knulli versus muOS, but starting off with the pros, Knulli is a fork of the popular project Batocera, so it benefits from a lot of the polish and work that's already gone into that project, which definitely has sped up its polish process. It supports both RetroArch cores and dedicated emulators similar to muOS, which helps really maximize the performance options we have on these relatively lower-end chips. It has Bluetooth support, so you can easily pair a controller when you want to plug your SP into your TV. Their website provides very nice, clean, and decently fleshed out documentation, including a helpful quick start. And of course, it has that really pretty Emulation Station front end, which gives it a really polished console feel. As for the cons, I will mention that Knulli uses the ext4 file system. If you haven't heard of it, it's a Linux file system, and they use that for the share partition by default, which is where the games, saves, configs, and all that are stored. And they made that decision so that they would have better port master compatibility, which is appreciated. But if you don't really care for that and you would rather have your SD card more accessible on Windows and Mac using something like exFAT, they clearly outlined on their website how to change over the card to exFAT for that partition. So because they give you that option and clear steps to change it, I'm going to call this a sort of half con. Also, like all custom firmwares for these retro handhelds, it's not without its bugs and work-in-progress features, such as certain emulators not being able to run quite right when it's using HDMI out, and we'll cover that more in the head-to-head. Also in the cons list, related to the ext4 file system thing we mentioned earlier, that also means that you're restricted into where you can store your ROMs. So if you've got a big folder of ROMs that you're hoping just to slide into the TF2 slot and have it pick it up automatically like muOS does, you will be a bit out of luck because it actually recommends you format your second second SD card to ext4 as well, and then access it via the network. And so unless you happen to have a micro SD card that's formatted into ext4 or the correct exFAT layout with all your ROMs on it, you'll probably have to do some extra legwork to get that dual card setup going, if you were hoping for that. Finally, one pretty big con is no, Knulli does not have Hinge support. So if you were hoping for that, you'll just have to quick press the power button to put it to sleep mode until that support is released. But considering that they mentioned it in the release notes for this version, I'm pretty sure it's very on their radar and will be coming quite soon. Now let's turn our attention to the muOS update, which, as noted before, it has now added Hinge support. Alongside sleep mode, HDMI audio out, HDMI resolution settings, and more. Now, if you are running a previous build of muOS and want to upgrade it, as far as I could tell, the best way to do so would be to pop your muOS TF1 card into your computer, copy the contents of your muOS folder to your computer as a sort of backup that you can copy back over later, and then just reflash the card with the latest image, put it in your SP and fire it up for a sec so it can do that install process and create the directories afresh. And then put it back into your computer so you can copy over those key files that you just backed up, like your themes, configs, save files, and all that. And especially those modified N64 controller mapping files that we spent so much time setting up in the previous video. Check that out if you missed it. After that, you'll be rocking the latest and greatest version of muOS, which is now one of the few firmwares available for the SP that has Hinge support for the notable hinged retro handheld. So it's actually saying something. And now that I've got a micro SD running the latest version of muOS and the latest version of Knulli, it's time to pit these two firmwares head to head, CNET prize fight style. That's right, I'm pretty sure I was one of the only 9-year-olds watching CNET prize fight tech videos in 2005. But real quick before we continue, if you like the channel and the content I'm putting out, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button down below, it would mean a lot. We actually just crossed 1,000 subscribers just in time for my birthday, which is on July 1st, Canada Day, so there you go. And if you click the button, it even gives you a little dopamine addicting animation. So have fun with that, and thanks so much. Alright, so round one is going to be emulation power, smoothness, and the ease of configuring those emulators. This one's a very close call, as both run RetroArch great and leverage its configurability just like you'd expect, while also utilizing dedicated emulators like Mupen64+, PPSSPP, and Drastic for smooth performance on those hungrier systems. I'm not one to clock which one gets half an FPS better in performance, but I have found that with all these systems I've tried on both these firmwares, at least if you know how to change the emulator core you're using, it's perfectly playable and smooth. As far as configurability with both of these firmwares, they both rock at RetroArch stuff as you'd expect, but I did have to edit a config file manually on both of them so that I could get the correct N64 mappings on the SP, which does lack a right thumbstick, and so I had to do my crazy, this is C up and C down, and this is C left and C right. And in the muOS video, we covered how to change that, and side note, in Knulli, it turns out that file is located in share, system, configs, Mupen64, input.xml, and then I had to change the upper half of that file to get my controls to apply. Also in this category, I know a lot of you mentioned retro achievements, and it turns out both muOS and Knulli both support it according to their documentation, so that isn't a swaying factor in this category. But it is hard to argue with that emulation station front-end's ability to receive your controller mappings, port assignments, core selections, and then in most cases cleanly pass it over to RetroArch so you don't even have to open the RA menu once you're inside a game. You can just jump into the game console style and just play, and that's going to tip the scales just enough in its favor for round one to go to Knulli, which brings us to round two, which I've called console mode, essentially when you can dock it via HDMI out and pair a Bluetooth controller or some kind of controller to get that couch gameplay set up. As mentioned, muOS recently added the ability to change your HDMI resolution and use HDMI audio out, which definitely bumps up its credibility in this category. However, this time it doesn't support Bluetooth controllers, which is a pretty big killer of couch play. Plus, when I connected it to my TV, it was mostly a blown up version of what I was seeing on the SP screen, at least with the theme I had applied at the time, and I had to tell the SP to go into HDMI mode manually, which was a bit of a downer. Whereas Knulli had a pretty scaled up interface that popped up automatically because it detected the HDMI plug and then reloaded the interface to scale to the 1080p, as well as not just having Bluetooth controller support, but it was actually able to automatically detect that my 8-bit Do controller was in pairing mode, pair it, trust it, and just work. I was actually really surprised. It was even easier to pair it to this than it is to pair it to my Switch. The only snag I hit with HDMI out gameplay on Knulli was that some dedicated emulators required a bit of extra configuration or help to play nice. Like with Mupen, I actually had to turn off the bezels and manually set it to 16:9 aspect ratio. Otherwise, it would just straight up crash and come back to the home screen. And I also noticed that the Drastic emulator really doesn't like me playing with the screen orientation, otherwise it'll just sort of lock up the controls. So a couple little bugs, I'm sure to be fixed in a future release, but I did notice those snags. Knulli also gets some bonus points for including these beautiful bezels out of the box for the 4x3 RetroArch gameplay, so round 2 also goes to Knulli. Round 3 is Hinge support. Yeah, muOS has it, and Knulli doesn't right now, so yeah, muOS wins round 3. Round 4 is network accessibility. And as mentioned before, Knulli can be accessed via an SMB share that makes it available on the network it's connected to, which is also its primary way of accessing files and moving them around, which does work quite well. However, I did need to go into the settings once and grab the IP address of the SP since my Windows laptop could not find the Knulli device on the network, and even though it could like 10 minutes before, so I had to punch in the IP address manually and browse to it, so a little bit of a clunky there. Meanwhile, muOS boasts both SFTP and a web interface, which provides file editing capabilities, upload, batch zip download, and setting up network SMB shares as well. It is worth noting that Knulli has a web interface on the way, but until then, round 4 goes to muOS. Which takes us to round 5, which is theming and design. muOS's themes have a special place in my heart, largely because I built a couple of them, and that was largely because it was so accessible. If you know how to use paint.net or something similar, you too can make themes for muOS. However, at this time you do have to go manually retrieve those themes and copy them over, and the same goes for scraped box art for your games. Whereas Knulli has a theme downloader and artwork scraper built right into the firmware, which should save you a lot of that file hunting time, as long as your ROMs are named correctly so that the scraper finds the right box art. Plus, since Knulli is a fork of Batocera, it supports the many themes built for Batocera, so it's pretty safe to say that you're going to have a larger library there. Also, I know it's a super small thing, but I really appreciate the subtle yet smooth transitions on the emulation station menus, which just makes the system feel that much more polished, and so for these reasons, round 5 goes to Knulli. Round 6 is ports, and this is also a very close round because they both run Portmaster, but based purely on the Stardew test where I installed the Stardew port on both of them, I found that it worked on muOS, but it didn't on Knulli, so I'm going to say that round 6 goes to muOS. Finally, round 7, which is documentation. This category might be a surprise to some, but as someone who just got their first retro handheld like this and was just trying to figure out how to get some custom firmwares going and get it up and running, clear documentation on a friendly looking website makes a big difference. And I want to be clear, I know full well as a developer that the time it takes to create new features and fix bugs almost always takes precedent over writing documentation, especially when you know that documentation will likely be going out of date as soon as you put out those new features, and so it's just a really hard thing to prioritize when you're just trying to get cool features shipped. But with that being said, I have to say that Knulli's website and documentation just seems very cleanly laid out, complete with a quick start guide, clear navigation, and a generally pleasing site look. Whereas the muOS site, although not bad by any means, could use a bit of polish and styling, but maybe that's just me being a critical web developer. But on the muOS site, I also found that helpful information like the default username and password for the web interface tended to be buried in release notes, and I'd have to use Google search or the site search to try and track it down on the site, instead of finding it on a dedicated page called something like network access in the navigation bar like I'd expect. So for the final round 7, Knulli takes the cake, which leaves us with a final score of Knulli 4, muOS 3, which I think is a pretty fair score given that these are both fantastic custom firmwares for your SP or a similar handheld, and the fact that Batocera has been around for years, whereas muOS, as far as I can tell, has only been around for the last year or two, so the fact that it's such a close comparison deserves mad props to both parties. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know if I missed any of your favorite features that swayed you to choose between these two firmwares. Subscribe to help out the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.